If you want to massively increase your chances of success with your online business, literally force yourself to succeed, then you need to watch this video. Before we start with this video, if you like videos about online entrepreneurship, about online business, then make sure you hit the subscribe button, get notified every time I drop a new video. There's a new one goes out every week where I'm giving out information about online businesses, giving you updates about my own online business and affiliate marketing that I'm building at the moment. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and get notified. There's also links in the description to my Facebook group and also to my website. So make sure you jump onto those if you want more content like this. Now, let's get on with the video. So let me tell you a quick story. In 1519, there was a Spaniard by the name of, and I'm going to completely mess up this pronunciation, so I apologize in advance. A Spaniard by the name of Hernán Cortés, a 33-year-old who sailed to South America with the goal of conquering the Aztec Empire. Now, he had with him a handful of ships, 500 troops, 100 sailors, some horses, a few cannons. The Aztec Empire had hundreds of thousands of soldiers. But they went there and they did it. That when they landed in Mexico, what is now Mexico, Cortés gathered all his men on the beach and he ordered them to burn the ships that they had sailed in on. The idea being that cut off their means of escape. They couldn't turn around and go home, so they had to go forward and succeed or die trying. Now, Cortés wasn't the first person to do that. I think Alexander the Great, about 2,000 years earlier, did pretty much the same thing when his troops landed in Persia, 330 odd BC. And even before that, Sun Tzu in The Art of War, and I'll read this because I can't remember the exact wording, but Sun Tzu in The Art of War says, "When your army has crossed the border, you should burn your boats and bridges in order to make it clear to everybody that you have no hankering after home." For me, I first heard the concept from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins talks about if you want to take the island, burn your boats. So what's the point? The point is that by burning the boats, they forced themselves into a position where they had to succeed. Now, the chances of any of us these days being part of an invading army, landing by ship on some foreign soil, are probably pretty slim. But as entrepreneurs, the concept is enormously powerful. We all know the stats about the failure rate of small businesses. Something like 97% of small businesses fail within the first 3 years, a ridiculous number. And it's no different for online businesses. The vast majority of people who try to start online businesses fail. And one of the challenges, I think, with online business in particular is that these days, in particular, it's a little too easy to get started. Back before the internet, if you wanted to start a small business, you probably needed premises. You might need an office or some sort of place for customers to come. You might need equipment. You might need staff. These days, you can get started with an online business if you just got a computer and a phone, which pretty much everyone has. So it's very easy to get started, but it's still just as easy to fail, right? And I think one of the challenges is that it's people get in and they think, oh, this is going to be easy, no worries at all. And the truth is that it's not. It's simple. I talked last week about how simple it is when you really boil it down, but it's not easy. It's very hard to succeed. And I say that from several years of experience now. So the point is that you need to find a way to make sure that you don't give up when things get a bit difficult. And that's what the concept of burning the boats is all about. There's some of the more famous online entrepreneurs out there. A lot of them have really extreme backstories. I was living on my cousin's couch. I was down to my last $20. I didn't know how I was going to pay rent or put food on the table, and I made it work. Some of those might be slightly embellished. I'm sure they are. But some of them are pretty close to the truth. And the reason for that is that those people didn't mean to burn their boats. They didn't deliberately burn their boats, but they found themselves in a position where they didn't have any boats. They had to make it work. You don't have to make yourself broke and homeless, but you do need to make sure that when things get tough, and they will, everyone fails, everyone makes mistakes, everyone messes up. It gets really hard to stick at it at some point for everyone. You Facebook ads, your Facebook ad account gets shut down, your funnel fails, you spend a whole lot of time and effort and money on some particular campaign and it completely tanks. Things don't work, and it's very tempting to just roll over in bed in the morning and say, I'm not getting up today, I can't do this. Or, dust off your resume and go, I'm going to go back and get a job again, or get a different job, or I'm just going to leave this behind, or whatever. It's very easy to give up. So you need to find what is the way that's going to stop you from giving up when it does get hard. What's going to keep you going? I have spoken a little bit before about your why as well, and that's a really important element in this. Your why is really, really important. So why do you want to build an online business? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? And that concept, that why, is really important. Now, for me, being clear on my why was a really important element. But the question is it enough? Is it enough? Because human nature suggests that for some of us, just having that goal, that nirvana, that might be enough to drive us. But for a lot of the rest of us, for 90% of people, I'd say, that might not be enough. If your fallback, if your alternative to success is too comfortable, is too acceptable, then it might not be enough. You might have a really strong goal that you're trying to achieve. Yes, I would love to do that. That's the nirvana for me. That's the absolute outcome that I'm looking for. But if the consequences of failure are, I'll just go back to my job and that's okay, then it might not be enough to keep you going when things do get tough. But the point is you've got to find your own level. So I'll give you a quick case study of myself. And I'm a little bit of a hard case in this respect. I was a dabbler for a long time. I've been working on the internet through my job for 15 plus years, purely online business. I've owned a computer since the 80s. I was one of the first people in my school to even have one. I've always been interested in the online space and technology and all that sort of stuff. I've always long been interested in entrepreneurship as well. And I dabbled for years. I started a blog at one point. I played around with different bits and pieces. I did this and I did that, and for a long, long time it was all just a little bit of a hobby on the side. But the fundamental drive to want to do it was still there. It wasn't until I made a few key changes that I actually was able to get some traction and actually get moving. Now, 3 key things. Firstly, getting clear on my why. So, this whole vague concept of, I want to have an online business, or I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to have my own business and financial freedom and all that sort of stuff. Vague, if it's too vague, it's not strong enough, it's not clear enough to drive you and to drive your actions. So, when I clarified that, and for me it's about achieving financial freedom so that I have control over my time, my location, and I can live life on my terms and spend more time with my family and my loved ones as a result. Now that is why I'm doing this. I worked 80-hour weeks or 100-hour weeks for a long time. I traveled a lot with my job. I missed a lot of things during my children's younger years. And I can't change that now. but I can change going forward. And that is a really strong driver for me. So clarifying my why, having a really strong why is really important. But I decided to go further, knowing myself. As I said before, I think having a strong why is great, but if your fallback is too comfortable, then it might not be enough. So I decided to change that as well. Second thing I did was invest. I invested in training, courses, coaching, mentorship. Nothing focuses the mind quite like handing over an uncomfortable amount of money. And I think that's a real driver. There's a saying in marketing that there's a difference between a freebie seeker and a buyer. Someone who's actually handed over money is far more likely, even if it's a small amount of money, far more likely to take action than someone who's gotten something for free. When that amount of money is an uncomfortable amount of money, a large amount of money, then the driver to make a return on that investment, to make it worthwhile, is much stronger. So I think there's really something in that around investing in yourself and making sure that you give yourself that motivation, that driver to get that return. So that's the second one. Third one for me was taking away the corporate safety net. And this is a big one. Up until 2018, my main focus was my career. I was still dabbling on the side, but my main focus was my career, and I knew that I had a viable path, a perfectly fine corporate career that I could continue with. I wasn't super engaged in it. I didn't necessarily want to do that for the next 20 years. In fact, I certainly didn't, but it was viable. So I got rid of it. I got a job that wasn't a career job, which moved me out of the career path I was on and on to just, I went into a company just 4 days a week to help them with a few things. And since August 2019, I've been doing some consulting work, sure, but I haven't actually been employed. So that really focuses the mind as well, because, we have debts, we have financial obligations, we have children cost money, we need to put food on the table. Yes, my wife has a job, but I need to have income coming in. And that focuses the mind, because the alternative to not having the income coming in is not acceptable. It's not something that I'm going to be able to live with, put up with. So now when I combine all those three things, my really strong why, the amount of money I've invested in myself, and the lack of that safety net to fall back on, those three things together creates a really strong, really strong commitment. And that last one in particular is the boat burning. Taking away that corporate safety net, that ability to escape back. I could go back and get a job, sure, but it would be a lot harder for me now than it might have been 2 years ago, because of that gap in my career and because of the change in trajectory. Really hard. So that is my version of burning the boats. And then there's one more, this group. After all of that, I've then gone out in public and said, I'm going to build this business to a 6-figure run rate in 6 months. And I've said that publicly, and I've got 137 people or whatever it is in this group now, who are part of that journey, and a whole lot of other people who are, friends on Facebook and my profile and family and all that sort of stuff, who know that this is what I'm doing and they're watching it. And if I fail, it's going to be embarrassing. I'm going to look pretty silly. And that is that extra motivation again to drive me. So 4 things all up. Now, I'm not saying that any of you need to go out and do all those things. In fact, I would probably argue that the vast majority of people shouldn't leave their job until they really have a strong, sustainable income to switch over to from their online business. So I think you should do 99% of people should do those things in parallel. The point is, though, you need to find your level, your own level. I made the decision to do that, knowing myself, knowing what drives me, knowing what financial position I'm in, knowing that I could do it for a period of time without putting myself in financial difficulty. So there's still a little bit of a safety net there. But each person is different, each person is individual, and you need to find your own level, right? You need to be honest with yourself. I do believe in stacking the odds in my favour. So by doing all those 4 things, I think I've really pushed the odds to push myself to the point where I'm going to find ways, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to find ways to make this work for me. I'll find ways to make it happen. So that's what I mean by stacking the odds in my favour. But that equation might be different for different people. So it is about being honest with yourself, understanding where you're at, and doing what makes most sense for you. If you like that video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and make sure you get notified for new videos, which I drop every week. Give us a comment in the comment section. I do read all the comments. I'll reply to any comments that come in, and I would love to see some comments there. And if you want more content like this, then my Facebook group goes into more depth, particularly about the business that I'm building in affiliate marketing. And there's also my website, both of which are linked in the show notes or in the description below. So take a look at those, and I'll see you next time.